the summer of love.
Alright, what's up everybody, it's StrikesBro here, and today we are back for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile, and this has been a long time coming. I got this request back on my very first deck profile when I said that people could leave in recommendations or suggestions for my next deck profile, and I never got around to it because, well, to be honest, please don't hate me for this, Blue Eyes has never been my favorite deck, and I know that it's a fan favorite, and it always has been, but I've just never really liked the playstyle, and I don't really like how Blue Eyes is actually just one play extended out into a full deck, but I've thrown in a little bit of my own twists in there, and I've come to decide to actually make the deck. And I was going to add some of the new support coming out of the Kaiba collection, but through testing, I discovered that, well, it doesn't help the main Blue Eyes play, so therefore it's not really worth running. So, without further ado, let's get on to this deck profile. Starting with the 3 Sage with Eyes of Blue. When he's summoned, you can add another tuner to your hand, and then you can discard him to target an effect monster you control and send it to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Blue Eyes monster from your deck. It's a really broken card. I would never recommend running it anything less than 3, or at least from the testing that I've done, I really like this card. Then we have our 3 Stone of Ancients. This is typical for Blue Eyes. And then the 1 Stone of Legend. I wasn't originally going to use this just because it seems older and slower, but I mean, it works just the same as any other, or it works just as well as your other cards, and the fact that you send so many cards to the graveyard with this deck, it makes it very easy to get its effect off. So yeah. Next we have 3 Blue Eyes. You can't play a Blue Eyes deck without the 3 Blue Eyes. It is a requirement. And then we have the 3 alternate White Dragon, because it's the best card of the deck. It's the heart and soul, as you could call it, in the words of Team Sam. So yeah. Then we have our 2 Spirit Dragon. And Spirit Dragon basically just banishes, it's basically like a cosmic cyclone with legs, and some really powerful legs at that, having 2500 attack. Then we have a Grinder Golem. I don't know if I don't think this is played in a lot of Blue Eyes decks these days, or at all, but I really like it because whereas maybe you won't, completely extend your board like you might think in a combo heavy deck, but it is really nice to have a really powerful Link monster on your side of the field, just in case you ever need one. And of course we have our 3 Ash Blossom, the best hand trap of this format, and pretty much a requirement for playing Yu-Gi-Oh! We have our 1 Raigeki, because it's pretty much a win condition. If you can get rid of all of your opponent's monsters, you can just summon a few Blue Eyes and win the game. Now for our draw cards, we have 1 Upstart Goblin. It's just bringing our deck down even closer to just that core combo, making this a 39 card deck. The 2 Pot of Desires, because it's the best draw card ever made. 3 Trade-ins, because it can get rid of the cloggy brick hands if we happen to get one. Also, ditching a Blue Eyes is never that bad. And the Card of Consonants to send our Dragon Tuners to the grave. We also have for our search cards, we have Melody of Awakening Dragon. You discard and then add 2 Dragon type monsters, so you could discard one of your Dragon Tuners and then pop off their effect, as well as getting some more dragons to your hand, which is really nice. We also have the 2 Dragon Shrines, where you can pretty much Foolish Burial a dragon monster, and if it was a normal monster, you can send 1 or more dragon type monsters from your deck to the graveyard. You can send 1 more, not 1 or more, my bad. But yeah, you can send another one, so it can become a double Foolish Burial. Really good card. And then we have our 3 Return of the Dragon Lords, where you can target a dragon type monster in your graveyard and special summon it just straight up. It's basically a monster reborn, and it's really good. And then we have 3 Silver Scry, quick play spell, where you can target a dragon normal monster, so your Blue Eyes, and special summon it. So it's just more recovery, and it's super good. We also have Monster Reborn and Soul Charge. These are other recovery cards. So if you can't tell, this deck revolves around drawing as many cards as possible and recovering your resources from the graveyard. And you can create this constant loop of Blue Eyes, and it's amazing. So yeah, now moving on to the extra deck, we have 2 Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. This prevents World Chalice from being able to use their main card. It prevents Pendulum players from being able to Pendulum summon. It's a pretty good floodgate. Also, it can tag out into Azure Eyes, which is sort of more protection for the deck. You can also tag out into Ancient Fairy Dragon, which can special summon one of your tuners from hand, which will allow you to go into Crystal Wing, which is, of course, everyone knows, one of the best synchro monsters ever. And then you could also tag out into Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, which is another really good synchro monster. We also have Hope Harbinger. I think I've used this in a deck profile before. I think I used it in my Mech Knight deck profile, but in my opinion, I believe it is the best rank 8. And I know for them, usually Blue Eyes players like to run a whole bunch of XCs monsters, but I think it's better to just keep your Blue Eyes out. Like, I'd rather, like, some of the XCs can get a little bit of excessive, and I feel like the higher up in tiers you go, the more you're running the risk of, you know, ending up losing a lot of resources. So I'd rather just run the one, so that I'm not risking a whole bunch of resources. And then, of course, for our Link monsters, we have 3 Link Spider. I know typically for Grinder Golem we only run 2, but I'm trying to test out a new concept. And then we have Akashic Magician and Proxy Dragon for the Grinder Golem combo as well. And, of course, Burlow Dragon. And as you might see, we also have Saryuja Skull Dread. So what I'm trying to test is Grinder Golem into the Akashic, and then, of course, bouncing the Grinder Golem back, doing it again, except this time maybe using the Link Spider and the token, as well as the Akashic, to make Saryuja, which then he'd have 3 or more, so you could get both the extra 300 attack and defense, and once returned you could special summon one of your Blue Eyes from hand for free. Or you could special summon one of your tuners if you wanted to, or pretty much anything. So it becomes a much more accessible Ancient Fairy Dragon almost. And I think if this, I'm hoping that this actually works, and this might be a concept that can take off in other decks that can't maybe access Ancient Fairy or don't want to use Destrudo and risk all of those life points. So, anyways, once again, I know this was probably more of a fast deck profile. I was just trying to get it over with as much as possible, as fast as possible, because I'm not really much of a Blue Eyes fan. But to summarize this deck, to add a little bit of time to this video, but to summarize this deck, you want to get out powerful monsters to sort of control the board and get rid of what your opponent has, while drawing into the same cards to extend your combo and consistently recover those resources that you've lost or sent to the graveyard as cost. So it's a really efficient deck at getting out some really powerful monsters, and if that's what your playstyle is, then maybe this is the deck for you and you should check it out. I'm sure you've probably already heard of it though, because Blue Eyes is very famous. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile, and if you did, please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, hope to see you next time, and as always, have a roaring good day.